Let's talk about QVector. Well, this is confusing, so forgive me in advance if this sounds confusing because it is confusing. What we have here is just some simple code, and we've actually done this before in the previous videos. We have a string, a QList. Notice we're talking about QVector. And of course, QList is a templated container which can take different data types. So what is QVector? Well, in the past, notice I said the past, QVector and QList were two different container classes that did very similar but different things in different ways, and there was a almost religious holy war about which one you should actually be using. That is all changed in Qt 6, and now QVector is an alias for QList. Let's go ahead and demonstrate. So we got this code, save and run. And it's the same code that we've worked with before, just very simple, demonstrates that we have a container. We can just simply swap this out. QVector. And save, run. Let's see this thing in action. See, just works. Now, let's go ahead and try something a little different. Notice this is a QList of strings. Let's try a QVector of strings. Let's go ahead and run, and it works, but on the surface, it really shouldn't, because QVector and QList in the past were two different classes. And when you do the data split, notice that's returning a QStringlist, which of course is an alias for QList of strings. So by proxy here, QVector of strings is the same thing as saying a QList of strings, which is the same thing as saying a QStringList. Like I said, if it sounds confusing, it's because it is confusing. Really, what we're talking about is over time, Qt has refined things more and more and more. And as they're doing it, they're finding that the overlap they used to have between things like QVector and QList are no longer needed, and they've pretty much just merged them into one and said QVector is an alias for QList. And what this really means is that any code that's out there that uses QVector isn't going to magically stop working. It will just continue working like it did before, but now under the hood, it's all using QList. Okay, that makes more sense. So that solves the age-old argument of what should you be using, QVector or QList? Well, the answer, of course, is either. They're both the same thing now. I almost always use QList because, well, it's shorter than typing out QVector. And now they do the exact same thing, where in the past, QVector did things slightly faster than QList. And honestly, when I say slightly faster, most mere mortals never would have noticed the difference.